I recently remodeled the inside of my 4-star horse trailer. What led me to do this is we go trail riding and camping a lot, and I used to have a Murho that had living quarters, so I had the sink, the propane, the stovetop, it had a shower, a toilet, and all that stuff. And basically we didn't camp enough to utilize those things very much, and we got tired of winterizing it because we're like, we don't even use this stuff. So I sold that one. I fixed it up, made it nicer than what I had been using it in, and then sold that one. And then I bought this 4-star trailer. It's a 3-horse off marketplace from a woman in Indiana. Her daughter was getting out of horses, and she had actually used it to stay in for college for a few, but it was just bare bones, like factory inside, and it's like a dressing room size, so just about the size I need as far as when I go camping. So they already had like a breaker panel on the front underneath the gooseneck, and they had the AC unit up there. It's a Coleman AC unit, and it didn't have like the heat strip in it or anything, which I didn't find out until after I went camping one weekend. But yeah, so I bought this, and then we went camping one weekend without anything in it. We took some cot mats to sleep on the floor because the bed area isn't big enough to fit my husband, myself, and my son, who would have been like 3 at the time, I think. It was just really crammed. So each night we took turns sleeping down on the floor. My Murho, I kept the mattress out of it because it was so comfortable. Like, it was almost more comfortable than our bed in the house. So I was like, I'm keeping this mattress. And then we put it in this one, and just on the aluminum gooseneck itself, it like lost the whole comfortability. So I chalked that up to being on the aluminum and the framing itself, and there was like no padding underneath it, so that didn't help with the comfortability. But anyways, we went camping in this with nothing in it, so that way I knew what I wanted as far as camping went. So I know I still want a mini fridge. I didn't need the sink. I just have a small little tote that I will fill up with water and clean whatever like cooking utensils we might use. But I try to utilize like paper plates and stuff that we burn in the campfire to reduce trash, and stuff like that. But yeah, so that just kind of led me to know what I wanted. And then obviously with my kids going with me, or I have a young girl that likes to ride with me. She's in high school now. I wanted enough space for them to be able to sleep comfortably too. If there was like, I think I could probably fit 4. It's probably 2 kids that aren't too big on the bench, and then my husband and myself, or whoever up top. So probably sleep 4 comfortably if I had to guess. And then of course I wanted all the storage. So without further ado, it's like my MTV Cribs version of horse trailers. So I'll take you inside and just kind of give you the rundown. Okay, so first things first, I've been getting a lot of let me zoom this out, questions regarding this curtain. I'm gonna do a tutorial on how it's made. I do leather work as well on the side, so I had some cowhide and some D-rings, and this is just screwed in to the door window frame. It's hollow under here. Forgive me, it's not very clean, but so like they've already got screws into it. I figured a couple more ain't gonna hurt anything. And then I have these 2 hide straps with the clips underneath. I did black on the backside, so that helps keep the sun out. There is a piece of wood down here just to kind of help weight it down. And then there's a piece of wood across the top that is what I screwed through to get this to stay on. So yeah, I'll do a tutorial, and then it just rolls up like so, and then you clip it. It's a little bit of a pain because you have to open this door before the screen door to get that rolled up or down. Okay, so this was completely bare. It just had like the boat carpeting on the floor, and then on this wall, and then up in the bed area. I peeled all that out, and surprisingly, it was very easy to peel out. I stripped the excess carpeting that was left. I didn't go as far as like stripping all the glue off because it was just too much. So anyways, I used cedar planks. This would be my only concern as to like how well it's going to hold up. I'm a little nervous that after a while with like the condensation, the heating and cooling, that they might warp, but I'm hoping they don't. I did like 3 coats of polyurethane on top of these. I sanded it and then polyed it. So it's got a really nice pretty shine. It's really pretty natural color. I considered staining it, but I really like the color of the natural. And it was a warm polyurethane, so it kind of brought out the warmness of the wood. My floor is just 1 sheet vinyl. This girl I follow, she's got a YouTube channel. She's very informational when it comes to renovating horse trailers or RVs. I thought about doing the click and lock, but she mentioned, and I've heard others say that if you do like the click and lock, that from the heating and cooling, the warming up the trailer in the wintertime getting cold, that it could actually, like, the seams would kind of welt up, I guess is a good way of putting it. So she only puts in like full sheet vinyl. So that's all this is. There is no like lock and click. It's all just 1 sheet. And it was super easy to install. Literally, I used the carpet that was on the floor as a template, laid it on top of the vinyl. Obviously, you want to reverse it, either the vinyl or the carpet, because by the time you cut it, you know, or you can lay it directly on top, however you want to do it. So it made it super easy to get in here. And then I forgot to do my trim over here. I literally just stapled it to the plywood that's underneath here. So for my subfloor, I put in, the whole thing is insulated with Pink Panther insulation board. It was 1/2 inch. Even like the curves up in that area are insulated. Like at first I thought about not doing that part, but I just really did not want any lick of condensation getting in here if possible, because I put a lot of work into this. You know, I didn't want it to get wet on the inside and then screw up everything. So yeah, the floor was super easy. I laid down the insulation. I used construction adhesive. So you have to make sure that the weather outside is like 40 degrees plus and stays a consistent 40 degrees. Otherwise the stuff won't set very good. But I put the adhesive down, and then I put my insulation, and then I put another thing of the construction adhesive, and then put my plywood, because I did not personally, I've seen where other people took and drilled, screwed the subfloor down through the bottom of the trailer, but I was trying at all possible not to let any extra moisture in this place. So I just used construction adhesive. So hopefully that holds it down. The floor, I don't know, about right in here is where I have two, no, it might be right here. There's 2 pieces of plywood that can join, because I, by the time it was said and done with 1 piece in the way it cut, I think regardless, I think it's an 8-foot long wall and a 4-foot short wall. So you get the 4x8 sheets of plywood. So, and then I think this wall is 6 foot, maybe 8. So yeah, by the time it's said and done, you're going to have two sheets regardless, whether you cut it this way or this way. So those are just put down with construction adhesive, and then I laid the vinyl down on top, and then I just stapled all around the edges. And it's nice because, you know, you put your trim up, that's going to cover whatever staples you have. So it makes it look like, give it a really nice finished look. My only complaint with this whole process is my trim's not the greatest, but it's so hard to get all that flush And then this, because I wanted it thicker, I wanted it consistent all the way around. I kind of cracked one right there. You can see it. It's not perfect. But I had to cut it in sections because the wood would not bend. So yeah. Those are just my biggest concern is just how well this wall is going to hold up, because those are the tongue and groove. You know, it's not just one big panel. And then around the door was nothing but aluminum. Like, there was hardly any space for me to get framework in. There is, because right here, because this is where all my cords from all the way around, they all travel around, and then they come across this wall behind this wall. And then the lights, the 12 volt, all come down here. And then I have this control panel that I got off Amazon. It is so nice. There is a difference between converters and inverters, so make sure you do your research on that. This is a converter, so it's taking the shore power and converting the shore power to the DC power, so it charges my battery. This is the powerhouse. So I drilled a hole through the front of the trailer and installed this 30 amp plug-in. That's a 10-2 wire coming in that goes to the 30 amp. That's what's bringing my power in. And then I have two 20 amp breakers and one 15 amp breaker. So that's I think a 12-2 wire. I use 12-2 on everything because the research I did said that the larger the wire, the better, because then you know you're not undercutting yourself as far as how much power it can carry. And then I also have, this is the DC side, the 12 volt. So the only thing I have in here that's running off the 12 volt are my little 12 volt lights. To put lights in here that could run off 110 were just huge. Like 12 volt, they had nice, you know, I want to keep everything light in here. I didn't want to weigh the trailer down too much. So to put light fixtures in here, like there's things you can do, I think, with the light fixtures. You can buy like 110 and then there's like some little switch or something you can put on it that converts the power down to 12 volt. And then your light fixtures will work. But I just wanted something really simple. And these are super simple. They're not inset lights. They're just kind of on the outside. And they just, the shield part just twists off and pops off. So if you need to clean, I got bugs up in this place really bad. So they get up in the cracks and fill up. So you can just pop those off really quick and then screw them back on. But yeah, this is the powerhouse. So that's the back side of the converter. And then my ground bar for everything. You'll need that as well. Just do a lot of research, or better yet, if you know a certified electrician, that would be very handy. This is the control panel itself. So we have my 30 amp, that's the shore power. So if I flip that, it just cuts the power to everything, except for my lights, because it was around 12 volt, the battery. I wanted my AC on its own breaker, so that's on its own 20 amp, and then all the outlets are on the other 20. And then the 15 amp has a cord that you tie into it that runs over here to the DC side, and that's what converts the power to charge the battery. So that's on its own. And then you have your fuses for whatever, and each fuse, like there's several. That's what's really nice about this. So if you have a lot of stuff you want on the DC side, you know, your different size fuses and stuff, there's all kinds. And the wires back here for each one are color coded. So you could keep track of, you know, what's what. So like, I think I have my brown for my lights, but if I wanted to add more DC, I could, but it's very minimal in here. I just have the lights running off of it. I do have the porch light out outside the door on there as well. So yeah, I don't have a switch to flip to, like my last trailer, I had a switch that I could flip to change it from like the truck battery to the trailer battery. But hold on one sec. I needed 2 hands there. But this, I have the lights here and the porch light outside the door. That's the back side. I left that exposed so that way if I need to change the bulb or something, I didn't have to worry about getting in and around it. But yeah, those are on the battery that's underneath the trailer. And then the lights to the back where the horses in the tack are, and all the running lights are on a completely separate circuit. So I don't have to have that switch to flip it. So yeah, that's all in all. There's the bench I made. So that way you can just have a way to get up onto the bed area, or you can just sit and watch some TV if it's just me, or if I bring 2 other people with me, I can pull it out. My cousin, when he comes down and stays with us, he usually stays in here. So yeah, I wanted something that could convert out to make more room for a bedded area, because my last trailer had a dinette, but it was so small that my daughter, when she's like 8 or something like that, she could hardly fit on it. It was just tiny. So I wanted to make that. It's so dirty in here, and I haven't even been in here. There's my cubby for my mini fridge. I measured it already and made sure that my length and width and depth were all good to go. As you can see, I got it there so I can make sure I get the right dimensions when I order the fridge. And then the cabinets, even up to the doors and the drawers, are all, I made them myself. So again, I wanted to keep everything as light as possible. They're basically hollow. There's the wall back there. This is just the back side. This is 1/4 inch, what do you call it? Plywood or underlayment or whatever. It's really thin stuff, really light. So that's just the back side. And then my framework was literally 1x2s. Pine, I believe. So yeah. And then I stripped down 2x4s. I put a lot of work in this. Again, it's dirty. Why is it so dirty? Anyway, I stripped down 2x4s. Down to this, they're about 1/4 inch, maybe a little bit thicker than 1/4 inch. And so it's 2 inches, and then, or yeah, 3.5, whatever that is. And then I stripped lengthways down. And this is just a 1x2 brace. But literally that's all I did. I made those pieces, put them together, put them on the back side of this frame. Now you gotta make sure that that part clears your face frame. Again, that girl that has the YouTube channel, I think it's called Fall Into Camping. She has a whole video on how to make trailer cabinets and RV cabinets. And that's literally where I got this information from. So I made the frame for the cabinet itself, and then you make a face frame for it. And then you just nail it to the front and paint it whatever color you want. I wanted 2 drawers, but I kind of forgot that this one would only come out so far because it's angled wall, so I decided to make a drawer, and it's just a big cubby hole to hold stuff. This is just a piece of 1/4 inch plywood. 1/4 inch plywood on 1/2 inch plywood for my drawer. There's nothing fancy about this. I just made it, and then on the inside, I don't know if you can see it, there's just literally 2 pieces of like 1x2s that are acting as a track to keep this. And I don't have no way of, like, I don't have it notched to keep it from coming out, but it's heavy enough that it has never moved. The 3 times I've hauled or more, it stayed perfectly in place. So yeah, my temporary countertop. If you flip it up, you can literally see the frame here. You might be able to get, oh, Oh, it's not even a 1x2 for frame. It's just, I don't know, 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch. Little tracks to keep it from, you know, moving over to there. So yeah. My plan is I kept these up high enough to where I could have like 1 inch to 1.5 inches thick countertop. My father-in-law is getting me, and I want to keep, I'm going to get it to where this side is like not straight. It's going to have like the bark. It probably won't have bark on it, but it's going to be grooved like the natural tree or whatever. Thought about also when I get it, like engraving down into it and putting like, I collect arrowheads on my farm. So I have a lot of authentic arrowheads, and find one of the better ones I have and like actually make an arrow and like set that arrow down in there. Like that's my plan for that. And like, I don't know if I'll write anything on it or if it'll just be that, because I have like this whole Western theme. I got those plates when I went to Wyoming, and of course it was the year I was born. How cool is that? Of course I got the bison, and then I have the map of cowboy country, like all the trails, the Pony Express, the Mormon Trail, Oregon Trail, which I thought was pretty neat. That's just a PDF off Etsy I printed off and framed. Nothing special. And then my good friend Megan Grody makes these. If you are interested, it's Twisted Cactus, I think. I don't know, I can link that. So yeah, I made all the doors. They're literally all the same. It just depended on how wide it was, how many panels I needed. Nothing fancy. Again, it's hollow. I just have a 1/4 inch underalignment screwed down for this top shelf. You know, make sure it's got good frame, underlayment, which you can see it's not 100% flush, but who cares? The shelves that I made, both shelves, are literally just, how did I, is that 1x2? I made a frame, the length, and then I'm pretty sure there's cross braces, and I literally just put 1/4 inch underlayment on top and on bottom to make it look like a thick shelf. So it's hollow, you know, there's nothing in there. And then of course I put this piece to help hold things up there. And then again, it's literally a hollow frame box, and then you put a face frame and underlayment. Like you can see it's not 100% flush, but you wouldn't be able to tell that. So yeah, face frames are 1x2s, I believe. And I got, what would you call it? I got a jig to make pocket holes. So that way they would be flush. I don't know if you can find, one that's got a pocket there. So you want a pocket hole jig. Just makes everything more flush. It's really nice. Okay, I'm gonna give you the rundown of how I built this. It was definitely not the easiest thing to make, but it can hold a pretty good amount of weight. My cousin who stays in here is he's pushing 300 pounds. He's just a tall dude and big bone, like big guy. So like he can put his weight on here. I mean, it's pretty sturdy. By the time you get all these boards across here, it gets really sturdy. So let's see how long. I just measured the length of this wall, which is 6 foot 7 inches. And then from here to here, it's roughly 2 foot 10.5 inches. Uh-oh, it's hot. So yeah, I knew that I wanted to make it almost the length of this entire wall here on the gooseneck. So obviously get your length and your width of how far out you want it to go. Leave enough room for your powerhouse area. Yeah, there. So, you know, it's going to come at an angle. You want to make sure that you keep it at an angle. You don't want this going straight into your door. So yeah. So you need your length and your width. And then what I did is I took painter's tape and put it down on the floor so I could kind of get like I'm a very visual person, so that way I could see how much room I'd have left after this thing was popped out or how long it was. And I literally laid down on it to make sure that I would fit. So this is me on the bench itself. Now that's excluding the cushions. The cushions are 4-inch deep, so I don't have as much room back here like I do sitting down now. I'm 5'4", 155 pounds roughly. So that kind of gives you an idea of length and all that stuff. So yeah, you're gonna create slats just up until the point of your, I guess, your L shape or whatever. So what if you know your width that you want to make it, that's the width you're going to make this section over here. And I wanted to be able to utilize as much storage as I could, so this is literally just I think a 1/2-inch plywood, nothing fancy, and I drilled 2 holes in it to help lift it up. And it's not connected. I didn't want it. You can put it on hinges if you wanted, but I didn't see a need for that. And then this piece just slides on out. I made it a little too snug, so it's a little hard to get out, but it does eventually come out. And this is what the bed area looks like. And of course, you want to make sure that you account for, you know, the depth of this thing. Make sure that it's going to be flush laying across there. You don't want your head like 2 inches lower than the rest of your body when you're sleeping. So yeah, let me think. Let me get you back up here. Okay, so this is basically what it looks like. I messed up. I could have made this one whole frame and made sure that it was like from the L out, like the whole outer edge. But I'm new to carpentry and I'm not great at it by any means. So what I actually ended up doing is this part is on its own frame, and then this box here is its own. Now the back frame here that went up against this wall, that's all one piece. And that's what's basically anchoring everything down. And that's into my studs on my framework underneath there. And you can kind of tell that because there's one over there. And then you can see my brad nails. So I knew my stud was there. And that's where that one's screwed into. And then so on and so forth. I mean, the little support frames are countered off a little bit because I was not thinking when I built that. But the top and the bottom down there, those are what's screwed into the wall. So those little support frames, I wasn't too worried about them being screwed into the wall. I just wanted them to where they were going to support weight. So yeah, these darn stink bugs. We had so many issues with those last time we went camping. Anywho, these boards are 2x2s. All of my frame are 2x2s. Even down below my slats, 2x2, 2x2. Back behind here, back behind this. Oh, this is just a 2x2 itself right here. 2x2. Everything is 2x2. This is 2x2. So once you get basically your box and the support frames, this doesn't have a support frame in the middle. Maybe it should, but I figured the slats were going to do enough on its own. But like that one's got a support frame here. That's something to think about, especially if you're going to be putting weight on it. And then of course there's a support frame down there at the bottom just to kind of keep it from bowing in or out. You want to do that. But yeah, everything is 2x2s. This is a 2x2. That's my 1x2 for this counter. Being I'm not putting a lot of weight on it, I wasn't as concerned as making this as thick. So yeah, 2x2s. And then of course I got my pocket hole jig. Just makes everything nice and flush as far as that goes. And it is really stout. Like, I think I used 2-inch wood screws to put all these in. These are maybe 1.5 inches, 1 3/4. I can't remember. So yeah, the frame itself, I would highly recommend using 2, 2 1/4, 2.5, whatever you can find wood screws. And then the slats are 1x or 1/2x ones. They're pretty small. I'm pretty sure I just used furring strips for these. So 1x2s, I think is what a furring strip is. 1/2x2, I can't remember. But yeah, if you go to Home Depot or whatever and get furring strips, that's what I used for these. You can make your slats like, you know, more wide and thicker. It's whatever you want to do. This is just how I did it because I had a lot of extra furring strips. Plus, I had a lot of 1x2s that I stripped down if I needed to. These are not all perfectly straight. Like, that one's got a bit of an angle to it. And there's just a little bit of give in between two. This side, because I did not account for my underlayment right here. So where this butts up is a little tight. And it's tight due to the frame itself, not anything else. So I wasn't thinking about the face frame or the whole wall on that thing, but it worked out fine. And then the face frame on this is 1/2 inch, I think. 1/4 inch. I think it's 1/2 inch because I knew I'd be pulling on it, so I wanted it sturdy. It's literally just cut out. I measured here and then I drilled holes in each corner, and then with the jigsaw I cut out the middle. Same for this. It's just a nice little hand grip to grab onto to pull it in and out. And then I also made it with a little bit of a lip, so that way when my cushion was sitting on here, it had something to kind of keep it from falling off. And then this piece of plywood's got a little bit of a lip to keep this cushion in as well. I didn't want my cushion sliding off. So, but it's also low enough to where when you're, you know, I guess if I had gotten like a less thick piece of foam, I was worried about sitting on the edge of this thing and this thing digging into your legs. But I went with pretty thick foam, so I don't have to worry about that. But it's still a big enough lip that it holds it in place. Okay, sorry, I got interrupted. My son came out here, so I've lost my train of thought. I think I was talking about the slats. So, altogether, the width of this thing is 2 foot, 9.5, something like that. So you'll want to make, you know, your slats the same width as the frame itself. And then, I don't know if, let's see. So The frame itself is about 1.6 1/4 feet. So your slats on the bench itself will be that width. Oh, darn, this thing, it's stuck. And these slats I have at 1.6 3/4, it looks like. So yeah. And then, like I said, you can make them wider. However, I feel like the smaller they are, which it's kind of backwards, the smaller they are, the more sturdy they are. Like when you step on these, you can kind of feel a little bit of a give, but that's probably normal. At least I hope it's normal. So yeah, the ones on your bench, you're going to screw to the frame itself on each side, and you're going to do every other one. And then these are on, there's just a board underneath here. I think I used, what did I use? A 2x2? Yeah, a 2x2. And I even cut these at like an angle on the back side, because you don't want them perfectly square. You want them to be able to like slide up on this guy here. So they're cut at an angle, and you could sand them down and make them nice, but yeah, they slide up on that piece better if they're cut at an angle. But there's just a piece of 2x2 underneath these, because I can take this thing and lift it up like this, but it helps keep this side from coming up. So you'll have to have that, and it literally just holds those in place and keeps them held down when they're sliding back and forth. So yeah, there's that. I don't have that on any legs. It's literally just the board up underneath there to help hold those down. I've made like a track to keep that board in place on this end and down on that end. So if you can see that, it's the same thing. There's just this board here is helping hold this board in place. So you can kind of see it underneath. Just kind of helps hold it in place. And then I wasn't worried about these being all the way to the back, because that's not the purpose they're serving. I guess if you really want them to, you could, but again, they won't slide up on this back brace very well. So I left mine, the bottom piece is flush with that 2x2 that's underneath there. You can kind of see. They might be a little over, but not a whole lot. Like I said, I am not a carpenter by any means. I just made it to where it would function, and it serves its purpose. And then, yeah. So, and this was a fluke, accidentally making this box. And then I made another box for this. I think it was probably a good thing, because then this is just extra added support. So, and that's how my brain worked. I made this section first, and then I started building down from it. So I made this front frame the width and height I wanted it. So yeah, you just do it how you got to do it, but ultimately it's the same concept however you want to go about doing it. But anywho, just take this piece here. Let me set you down so you can kind of see. Set you down so you can see how this works. literally just made it wide enough and long enough to fit down in there so it have room to go up and down without scraping against my wall and stuff. So yeah, and then I just cut this 1/2-inch piece of plywood, like I said, cut the holes out, made the handles, sanded it down, painted it, and then just used my nail gun to nail it to the front of the frame itself. I'm sure I have pictures that I'll post without the completed work. I'm really kicking myself. I wish I would have videotaped me making this, but it was a long process. So yeah. And then as far as, I made this really snug. This lid that goes on my, this thing. It literally is just a piece of 1/2-inch plywood. I took whatever carpet I had left over and stapled it, like I folded it down and stapled it around to make a nice little soft. There's no padding underneath this. The carpet itself didn't have any padding. It's just that grid stuff. So yeah, and then I put 2x2s on the bottom here. You can see my one nail. I didn't go all the way through. Apparently my screws were a little long, but it's in there. It's holding. It's good enough for me. But that helps set it down in that little hole. That way it doesn't wiggle around or anything. Let me see if I can get, this is, and see, it doesn't like function 100%. You gotta have both hands on it. Pull it out. And it wiggles a little bit. This piece is a little split. Definitely pre-drill your holes on this thinner wood. That way you don't split it. So yeah, here's the brace for the 2x2 underneath here. And then, like I said, the back frame went the entire length. And then I literally just framed up another little box at an angle here. I learned that I hate angles and curves. So yeah, nothing too fancy. I don't know if I can get down in there and see. Like, all my wires coming through. And then I made a frame for the converter panel to sit in so it didn't move around or anything. So yeah, you have to measure things. Like, there's not like a set measurement unless you have the same trailer I do, which I have a 4-star 3-horse slant, 8-foot long wall, I believe. It's 8-foot long wall, 4-foot short wall. And then I think it was about 6 feet something, 7 inches width. It's shorter now because I have insulation and framing. So like this wall sits out a little bit further than what it used to. But yeah, if you have the same size trailer, my bench here is, let me see. 6 foot 7 inches long. This area is 2 foot 10 inches roughly, 10 and a half by the bench itself. By the time it's all said and done, is 1 foot and 8 and a half. This box over here is 1 foot 9 inches, 1 foot 9 inches. So yeah, that's, and then the height, I made it 1 foot 9 3/4 roughly. Starting out, I probably made it 1.5 feet, and then by the time I added the slats and stuff, it made it, or probably 1 foot 8, something like that. I was just kind of gauging like how far up I'd want to step to get up there. I didn't want it too difficult getting up and down. So yeah, that's what determined my width, my height, and my length. Like I said, I put painter's tape down on the vinyl floor before I started building all this, just so I could kind of have a layout. And then I just filled the rest of the area up over here with counter space. So yeah, that's the rundown of my bench. I will try to make plans, like actual plans of how this bench goes together. It may not be the most pretty thing, but it's something. So anywho, yeah, that's my rundown of my bench. Thanks for watching. I'm gonna give you the rundown of my cushions that I made. They're 4 inches thick. I bought them 2 foot wide. I bought one 2 foot by 6 foot, and then another one 2 foot by 8. So sitting up here like this bottom one is the same width as the bench itself. Try to get you in a better spot here. And then this top piece, I went ahead, so I made this bottom cushion that I was going to be sitting on the width of the bench before I pulled it out. And then I finished pulling out the bench, and then I like I said, I hate measuring. I'm your typical woman where I like will get my picture frame and do this and put it up on the wall. So yeah, I made the bottom one. I sat it down on my bench, pushed in, I marked it, and how you cut foam is with like a bread knife. Didn't know that, but in case you didn't know, you cut it with a bread knife. Or I've seen where people will take like a fillet knife that's electric. It actually looks like it's a cleaner cut than sawing it, but mine's in cushion cover, so I really didn't care. Anyway, so that's how I got the width and length of my cushion for the base. And then I pulled my bench out with that cushion still on there, and I took the other one I had and I marked it to the end and the length. There is no like measuring tape or anything involved in this process. I literally just eyeballed it. So, and then there was this little area that needed its own little cushion. So that's where this little guy came in. And it literally just fills in the gap right there, as far as that goes. And then the only other thing is, because I made the cushion covers myself too. I got the tutorial off of Woman on YouTube. It was super easy. Like anybody can do it if you have a sewing machine. Because I wanted it to where I could remove the cushions if I needed to wash them. Because if you have a son like I do, who see, there's the cushion, and you can see this how it's not very pretty after you cut it. But I wanted cushions I could take off so I could wash them. So really easy tutorial on how to make these perfect little cushions. I can link them in below this video when I get done. Easily explained. And then the only other thing is on this cushion, whenever it's riding down the road, before I made this addition, I guess, because I just made them both where they were separate like this. And then I revamped it so that way this cushion, because this cushion would fall down whenever I was going down the road. So I took a piece of fabric, and I don't know, I didn't even like double line it. It's hard to see. Or maybe I did. I guess I did. So yeah, it's folded in half for extra durability. And I hemmed the edges because I didn't want it getting frayed. So it's literally sewn between the two. And then that's what helps hold this top one from flopping forward. It's kind of hard to see. So it just, you know, just keeps it from falling forward. So I just unzip from the inside. Literally, they separate. The zipper's right here. I just unzip this side and then this side and pull the cushions out, and it's all one big piece. I can wash it if it gets dirty. So yeah. Yeah, you can, it's not perfect. You can see it kind of flops, but you can pull it out from the bottom a little bit and help it kind of lean back. I didn't need anything too perfect. So I just laid the 8x2 piece down with it pushed in, made my mark, cut it the length, and then I pulled it out and put the other side down to make it to length. That way I knew when it flopped down, it was all just one solid mattress, basically. And this guy just pops out. So yeah, I'll show you how I do that. So this is how the cushions work whenever I'm getting ready to convert it from a bench to a bed. I take this one out, pull this guy out, and then I literally just slide this forward. And set that down in there. Then you have a bed. There is a crease here, but these cushions are so thick that you really cannot tell that there's a spot in the middle. It's a super comfortable bed. And like I said, I'm 5'4", 150 pounds. This is me all the way to the edge. And there's all this space. So yeah, two people probably not like super comfortably could fit on there, but I could fit two small kids on there, probably. And then to put it back up, literally just fold this, slide it back, slide this in, pop that down in there, and I have a bench again. So I wanted something super easy and functional that could store things underneath. So I left the front of this open so I could just easily shove stuff underneath there. And as you can see, you don't have to worry about moving anything because this front part literally comes out on its own. So yeah, there's that. I'm gonna give you the rundown of my curtains. I made these myself, and I do leather work, so I had some cowhide left over that I use for the tie backs and some snaps as well. And it's nothing fancy. The cowhide literally is just snapped on, and then you unsnap it, and then I just made these little things that go through the rod, nice and loose. And yeah, 2 panels, obviously. And then I literally just screwed the snap to the frame and punched that one down. So that way that holds them back. That's what they look like. Kind of gives it a little nice character. And the curtain rods are out of willow branches. I literally just stripped the bark off and put polyurethane on them. And what's holding those up, again, I'm a leather worker, so I had some of this leather and I literally just folded it around and screwed it into the frame, and that's what's holding them up. And it's actually really, I mean, there's the rundown on the paper towel holder that I made. You literally, it's just Velcroed on. Everything in this trailer, from my signage to my thing that holds the little shelf that holds my remote control, is Velcroed to the walls because I don't want to put any more holes in this thing than I have to. And because this is just 1/4 inch underlayment under here, I could have probably tried to screw it into the frame, but as you can see, I have it pretty long here. There was no way I was going to get a screw in. Unless I wanted to go at an angle. I don't like that. So, Velcro it was. Literally, just Velcros on and off. And the sticky part came off. I'm going to have to like super glue those on so that way this doesn't happen to me. Because this thing's falling off. It's kind of heavy. Because I literally took 2x4s and cut them. And I curved the bottom. And then this is just like an old mop handle or something. And the ends just have those little rings that you put on the outside of your trailer that flip up. I can pull it out and pull it out and change my paper towels. The other side's got the ring on it, which obviously I'm not gonna take off. Then you literally just put it back in, put that back through there, and then clip it down. Works like a charm. Now I gotta fix the Velcro. Continue with my electrical. Like I said, the previous owner had the AC unit going down to a plug-in. This is where the wires for the plug-in ran from the plug-in to the breaker panel. Obviously I took the plug-in off, but I didn't want to like have to seal up another hole. And not only that, but I already had this thing to protect wires, so why not utilize it again? So I left it. There are other holes that I had to plug up. This is a marine grade sealant, so I put this down, and then I got it's like this really thin tin stuff, like your pipes that come up out of your chimneys and stuff, and just cut a little. It's like a little aluminum piece, so it shouldn't counteract with the aluminum on the trailer. And then I put that on the back side. So it's got this sealant on it. I came out here and I added more sealant because I wanted to make sure that it's tacky looking because there's extra holes, but it was the holes from where they had other things screwed down, like the plug-in box for inside. I don't even remember what that was. And then this has got sealant underneath it to keep the water from coming in, which with it being under the gooseneck, I'm not as concerned about this area. So I went ahead and cut that, and then where the breaker panel used to be, I put, these were the outlet boxes that they had inside. I just went ahead and utilized some of the holes that were already there to put this in. And of course it's got it's made for being outdoors, obviously. And then I have my 12-volt battery. I bought this shelf thing to put it on. The box doesn't fit perfectly flush down in there. It's a little big, but with the strap and everything, it literally has not moved. I was hoping maybe in the wintertime when it freezes, it'll kind of maybe tighten that plastic up and it'll finish fitting down in there. But yeah, I had to drill holes to bolt that thing in to hold the battery. And then I also did install, I got this off Amazon. It's a 30 amp plug-in, and literally just pull it up, and it's got the threads for the plugins that are the screw type. And then it also comes with this backing on it to kind of help seal it up and stuff. And you can run silicone around it and everything to kind of keep the extra moisture out. So yeah, my 30 amp goes in there, and my battery and everything else.